So the thumbnail is not clickbait. We do have a situation on our hands. A snake went missing. So let me tell you a little bit more about this. Stick around. My name is Nick Pulaski. Growing up, I have always had a passion for wildlife, and with that passion, along with my passion of filmmaking, I get taken on some amazing adventures creating wildlife content, getting up close with a variety of incredible animals. So come follow along as I pursue my goals of educating, inspiring, exploring, and conserving wildlife, all while having fun, seeing the beauty in our natural world. Hey, what is going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me here today. Boy, has it been a crazy 36 hours here. As you guys know from the last video, we did the unboxing of all the amazing animals that we picked up, and everyone's doing fantastic. And I was checking in on everybody a couple days ago, and I came to notice in quarantine that the Honduran milk snake somehow escaped. And I was like, son of a gun. I mean, that thing is literally a needle in a haystack, and that thing is super small. It was just a baby. It's probably about 5 inches in length and super thin. The head is smaller than my pinky nail, and I'm like, man, it's gonna be very hard to find this thing. And I was definitely freaking out about it. It was definitely an insane thing. I'm like, I don't even know where to begin. Unfortunately, I don't have any camera set up or anything like that, so I was not able to capture anything on footage to see where that snake could potentially be. That is all going to change very soon. I'm going to explain a little bit more about that in a bit. But yeah, let me tell you a little bit about this story and how everything has kind of transpired. And it's definitely been a crazy past 36 hours of tearing everything apart, literally tearing everything apart, going in sections, kind of figuring out what his movements were like. I've also given tips in the past, and I'm going to leave a link above too, of what to do if you are missing a reptile and a reptile gets out. So definitely check out that video, because I definitely used a whole bunch of those tips while I was searching for this Honduran milk snake, and it was just an absolute crazy time for sure. Like, check out those tips as well too. That may help you if you are currently missing a reptile that's lost, or if you have ever lost a reptile, it may help you in the near future. It's definitely something I never wish upon anyone. It's definitely very stressful, especially when, again, this snake is like super tiny. But luckily, he's very bright in coloration, so I think that was the main thing that I had going for me, was worrying about that. Beautiful snake. I love this snake. I was so excited to get this snake. I love Honduran milk snakes. I think they're just so beautiful. I loved his coloration and striping as well too. Just an overall really cool snake for sure. I just scoured everywhere. I checked every single place. I ripped a whole bunch of different places apart, and I didn't doubt any sort of crevice. I basically just kind of checked every single thing that I potentially could to make sure that I had all my bases covered, just to make sure that that snake was not in certain designated areas. And I made sure to be very thorough with all of that, and still no luck. So we were about 10 hours in, still no luck, very discouraging, but I did not give up whatsoever. So I was checking day and night, making sure that I did all that I could to see if that snake would appear. No luck whatsoever. It was very discouraging, and I was constantly paranoid, so I kept constantly getting up and checking, okay, maybe he's here now, or maybe he's here now. So I would constantly keep doing these things and routinely checking certain areas to see if he was there, in small little crevices and dark areas, all different potential areas that this snake could be. I was checking thoroughly day in and day out. And it was definitely something that was around the clock needing to happen, just to make sure if you found him, that you grabbed him immediately and you didn't miss your chance to finding him. So I was constantly rechecking different areas. That's the best case scenario of what you want to do, which can be very discouraging and frustrating after a while, and it definitely was within a 36-hour period, checking all these places numerous amounts of times and still finding no luck. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely something very frustrating, but luckily he was the only snake that escaped. Luckily, the corn snake, who was also a super tiny snake, did not escape or anything. So everyone is now on triple lockdown, so they cannot escape. But that was something that was definitely very challenging to see, is seeing that empty enclosure and just wondering how the heck did he get out. But I mean, if you guys know anything about snakes, they are master escape artists, so never doubt them whatsoever, no matter their size. I mean, definitely the smaller ones are a lot more difficult to find, so it is definitely a frustrating thing for sure, and definitely not something I have had to deal with for a long time, dealing with a lost small snake. So furthering on this story, another day goes by and I was getting discouraged. So I mean, we are about 30 hours in right now. I was checking everywhere, and it was just very frustrating that I could not find this animal whatsoever. And I was like, he's got to be in some other area of the place. So I was like, all right, I will check all these other areas later, but I have to go to work right now. So I went to work, and lo and behold, I get a phone call that my fiance has found the snake, and it was actually in our kitchen. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be right home. I'm about 10 minutes away. I was speeding home. I mean, I just wanted to get this snake under control and found and in a good spot. I mean, she was not able to reach the animal, so I had to do the honors of taking the stove away from the wall and grabbing the animal. So I could just see him a little bit when I got under there and I was shining a flashlight. I just saw a hint of him in the back corner, and I was like, okay, I just have to move the stove out and hopefully I can grab this. But it wasn't that easy. So as you guys know, milk snakes, especially young ones, are super fast, and he immediately went into the worst possible scenario that he could, which is where there was an opening in the wall and he slithered on in there to get into a tight space. And at that point I felt very defeated. I ripped the whole stove away from the wall, went back there, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I thought he was deep into the wall. I thought I was never going to see that snake again, and I was like, this is not going to turn out to be a very happy ending video for sure when I explain this. So I was super upset. I was tearing apart the lining on one part of the wall just to see if maybe he went this way. It was a 50-50 shot of which way he could have gone. So if it was like an L corner of the wall, I was checking one area of the wall, didn't see him. I knew he couldn't go any further on that wall, so that was kind of something that was giving me some encouragement and some peace of mind. So I went and looked on the other side of the wall, and I couldn't find him. I could see little slivers and cracks on the wall where I could see potentially where he would be, but he was nowhere to be found. So I was just kind of sitting there for a while, just kind of discouraged, thinking he went further than I thought. And lo and behold, I see this. This little picture right here is what I took immediately as I was shining the flashlight, and I just see a little tip of his head. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's right there. So immediately I'm checking the corners to make sure if he goes further or if he goes backwards, if he can get into anything that would deepen him into the walls. I don't want him to get there. I grabbed note cards, I folded them up and kind of placed little markers where he could not go any further. I even used a straw at one point to kind of jam into the wall, so if he did go any further, he would hopefully, it was a wide enough straw, that he would hopefully go up the straw and go get trapped into the straw and only have the means to go up that way. So I kind of had my bases covered whichever way he went. But he was still stuck in the wall, and it was really difficult because he could either go forward or he can turn himself around, and he had enough room to go backwards. So like I said, he's a very tiny snake, and they can get into some very tight corners. So I was just trying to be as thorough as possible, make sure that he was okay and I wasn't harming him, but I needed to get him out of there so he could live, not freeze to death because we are emerging into winter, and not go further into the walls, because if he did that, game over at the end of the day. Playing around with him, I literally used a straw cleaner to kind of shimmy him out, kind of like a chimney cleaner, and I was just kind of pushing a little bit in there just to kind of help coax him out, and immediately he popped his head out, and I tried grabbing him, and he kind of shimmied his way back in. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're going to lose grip of this guy. I mean, it was just, there's no way for me to kind of pull him out further. So my grip kind of loosened, and he went back into the wall. And I was like, son of a gun. Luckily, he went kind of where he was originally before. So I was kind of like, just kind of figuring out my options here. I'm like, all right, what do I have to do? Best case scenario was getting him to go basically where he came into the wall, rather than going further the other way on the wall where he could get himself in a difficult predicament that I no way, shape, or form could reach him. Even with the straw there and stuff like that, I didn't want to take my chances. So I coaxed him back the other way where I grabbed him originally. Probably another 5 minutes that were going by, but it felt like forever in my mind because I was like, I have basically one other shot to get this right. And I didn't know what was going to happen if this didn't go well. So I was very careful with how he was moving, what I was doing, and how I was placing the straw in front of him to coax him. So finally, he moved his head out again. He was still on the wall. I could not grab him. What milk snakes are also notorious for is whipping around a lot, especially as babies. So what I did was I let him get enough slack where he was moving just enough out of the wall, and then I poked his head a little bit, and he whipped out. He whipped out onto the floor a little bit, and I could see him. He was still a little bit in the wall, so about 1/3 of his body was still in the wall, but it was perfectly placed, where I just immediately grabbed him, and he started whipping in my arms, and I was like, finally. And at that point, I was just like, finally. just the sheer thing of relief. I was like, oh my gosh, I caught this snake. I could not believe it. I did not believe that I was actually going to find this snake that day. I didn't know if I was ever going to find the snake again. It was so tiny. And let me pull him out right now. So here he is right here. He is that little sneaky guy, and you can see just how tiny this little guy is. I mean, he's literally a worm. And he was just whipping around like he is right now. And that's exactly what they're notorious for, along with peeing on me. So hopefully he doesn't pee on me again. But if he does, it is what it is. But yeah, he just kind of whipped out like he's doing right now. Come on, buddy. Let's relax. Let's become friends. Yeah, this is basically what he was doing. He just was kind of whipping around. He got out of the wall. I lucked out with that. Oh my gosh, you are peeing all over me right now. But yeah, I mean, one day, hopefully we become great friends. I'm sure we will. It's just this little baby stage is where they are super complex, that you got to monitor them so you make sure that they do not escape, as well as you want to make sure that you are working with them enough so that they calm down. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing, huh, buddy? We're going to be calming you down. But he is just a beautiful snake for sure. I was so happy to get this guy from Dustin Wells, and I was so bummed to lose him. I was like, oh my gosh, I love this snake. Man, I just gotta find this snake. I mean, he is just such a cool snake. I was so excited to have this guy and find this guy. And I was truly bummed when I lost this guy. I mean, he is just super cool, and we're going to be doing some really cool stuff that I am going to tell you guys about in the near future. So stick around for that, because we have some really cool, fun plans for this guy down the line. But we are going to definitely make sure that he does not escape whatsoever ever again, for sure, because tell you what, that was a train wreck for sure. And we have some means to kind of help with that as well too, along with if anyone else, God forbid, ever escapes. I mean, more than just the protocol we have already, we have some new plans in effect to make sure that this never happens again, or try to prevent it the best we can, so these guys are not putting themselves in harm's way and we have better success in finding them if, God forbid, something happens. It's always about setting yourself up for success, right? So that's exactly what we're doing. So while he was missing, I'm like, you know what? That's it. We're going to be doing this. And this is what I did. I bought these things right here. So these are not a sponsor whatsoever, but these are Blink cameras right here. So I just went on Amazon and I just bought a whole bunch of cameras, 3 cameras that I'm going to prop all around the room and make sure that if anything, God forbid, happens in this room, if anything escapes, a tortoise, a snake, anything, God forbid, escapes, I can figure out where it went and pinpoint where it goes. And this has motion detection, it has night vision, which is great as well too. And it would just be cool in general just to be able to check on this room. And maybe down the line I'll buy more of these cameras and I can put them in different habitats as well too, so I can just enjoy looking at my animals when I'm not home. So I think that's also a great thing to do as well too, and I think I would definitely enjoy that. But these are going to be perfect. I'm going to be propping these and installing these along with the Mist King that I have as well too. I need to install that. So we have a lot of things to install down the line, but yeah, I'm so excited. We did what we could, and I am super happy to find this guy. I mean, he is just super cool for sure, and I'm so excited to see him grow, because I want to keep my scaly friends like you safe. That's all we want to do. I'm not trying to hurt you, buddy. See, they just kind of calm down after a while, so he's totally relaxed right now, but it's just definitely something, once they get picked up and they're just first time being handled and stuff, they are definitely a lot of whippiness, but they kind of calm down, they coax down and stuff. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to constantly handle this guy, we're going to handle these guys and make sure that they get habituated to being handled, because that's very important. It's crazy. I mean, definitely looking at the picture of him, because I was constantly looking at the picture of him, I was definitely in perspective thinking he was a lot bigger than what he actually is. So I was definitely expecting a larger snake, and I think that's just because of being around pythons a lot and stuff like that. Just thinking he was a lot larger than he actually is. I'm not used to this at all. So it was definitely a thing that I had to keep giving myself that perspective, like, okay, this snake is actually super tiny. So you really need to make sure that you're checking all small spaces, just to make sure that you are covering all bases, to make sure that you're not leaving any sort of hide place out of the picture that he could potentially be in. So that's what I did, and I mean, it was definitely a ride for sure. You definitely put me on a whole chase to find you, that's for sure. But at the end of the day, we found them. Thank God. We can be relieved. You know, I know some people are not so lucky with finding their animals, and that sucks. Like I said, I mean, these cameras are definitely going to be a lifesaver for sure. So definitely would recommend some sort of camera system. I would definitely also recommend doing a whole bunch of prior prep to make sure there's a whole bunch of locks and security to make sure that your animal is completely locked in and safe in their habitat for sure. Yeah, that's my crazy story about how I found my Honduran milk snake after 36 hours of putting me in a complete panic mode mode and tearing my whole place apart. Besides that, the reptile room for this update is doing amazing. We are going to be setting up these cameras, like I said, as well as the Mist King as well too, to get these arboreal cages looking nice and lush. So that's going to be good. But also what we're doing is this coming week, it's going to be super exciting because we're going to be starting to pair the ball pythons and starting the ball python season. Yeah, like I said, I am super excited to start the ball python breeding season. It's a really exciting year. We have some really cool projects in the works that have been a long time coming, and all my patience of these projects, just growing these babies up from when they were born to where they are now. It's going to be a really exciting time of the year for sure. So fingers crossed everything goes well this year and we produce some really cool projects for sure. It's going to be hard not to hold everything back that I produce, that's for sure. Everything is something that I've been wanting to work for a while, and yeah, just really excited about everything that's to come with the ball pythons in the future. As well as we're also going to be pairing the Stimson's pythons as well too. That's going to be a really exciting project as well. And down the line, I mean, the Woma pythons are looking big as well too, but we're not going to be pairing them this season, but definitely next season they'll be up and ready to go. But I'm really stoked about that as well. I mean, getting the Australian pythons going is going to be really cool. So hopefully we get Stimson's pythons this year, because that would be a real treat for sure. But yeah, guys, otherwise though, everyone is doing great. Like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed my crazy story of these past 36 hours with this snake right here, Tigger. Hopefully, if you guys are missing a snake or a reptile right now, hopefully that's encouraging for you guys, that hopefully you guys will find your animal. Like I said, definitely go check out that prior video as well too, of tips to find your missing reptile as well too. It's a very difficult task to find these guys. Like I said, it's a needle in the haystack, but it's not impossible, that's for sure. There's always hope, so definitely hold out hope. You never know, they'll pop up eventually for sure. So I hope the best for you guys. Thank you guys so much again for watching today's video. If you guys could do me a few favors, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it, as well as hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. Definitely share this video with a friend, maybe someone that's currently missing a reptile or anything like that. It would definitely help them, hopefully, to hear this success story and give them some encouragement as well too. And also definitely check us out on our social media. I'll be posting a whole bunch of fun content there, as well as updating you guys on the breeding season for the snakes as well too. So definitely stay tuned for that. Otherwise though, guys, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys as always, and until next time, we will see you guys soon. Take care.